Sissies, this is Maddie. Now, y'all know I'm into my woo-woo journey and I love manifesting and being a strong, empowered woman and living the best life that we can. So we're bringing you something special this week. I'm asking, are you ready to embark on a transformative journey towards a better tomorrow? I think we all are. If so, join the captivating TV personality Hannah Brown on her brand new lifestyle podcast that will leave you inspired and empowered. Now, y'all know Hannah from The Bachelorette, and she was on Dancing with the Stars, but now this is a chance where you can go deep with her and ask every week, am I better today than I was yesterday? I love that. It's just not overwhelming. Just, am I better today than yesterday? So Hannah takes you on a deep dive into topics that matter most. From confidence to love to making time for yourself. I'm working on that one. Hannah shares relatable experience as the ultimate Everywoman. So sissies, brace yourself for advice that hits home, intimate emotional explorations, and eye-opening reveals. And, as a progressive, empowered woman of faith, Hannah challenges societal norms. She guides her audience, and she really does ignite meaningful conversation. Now, she's no expert, but the point is she is actively defining and deciding what it all means and figuring it out along the way. Because, Lord, we are all figuring it out on the way. So get ready for a better tomorrow because your journey starts here. Because we have a special clip of Better Tomorrow with Hannah Brown from an interview with Olympic gold medalist Shawn Johnson. And if you like what you're hearing, you can listen to Better Tomorrow with Hannah Brown wherever you listen to podcasts. I got to say, what I loved about this and was kind of surprised by Hannah is that she is very forthcoming in her own process. And what is great about that is that Shawn opens up as well. And it makes a really great, vulnerable, riveting interview. I loved it. Take a listen. You can listen to Better Tomorrow with Hannah Brown wherever you listen to podcasts every Wednesday. And don't forget to follow Better Tomorrow with Hannah Brown so you don't miss an episode. Enjoy.
I kind of want to get into, because I also, like I said, grew up kind of in front of a mirror looking at myself in a leotard. And then also when you talking about Dancing with the Stars, every one of the girl dancers there has like the most amazing body ever.
Oh yeah, they're amazing.
And it was so, and I've never like been overweight or anything, but I just remember being like so insecure. But that started like way early for me. But then when you're on, like you said, on national television in these like little tiny
pieces of fabric.
Yeah. Shaken.
Yeah.
It was so, my mind was so messed up, and I'm like, oh, my thighs are getting better because I'm having to do all these different exercises, and my feet grew to a size 11 because they were so swollen. My freaking calves were like, my ankle, there was no start and finish because I was so like inflamed.
Oh.
And it was just, it was a really insecure time for me. But like I said, something that was not new. Growing up, having to be like in a leotard, did that mess with you too?
I've been very open about it. I struggled with eating disorders for a very long time, severely. And I think it started and originated in gymnastics. I was very lucky with my coach. He was very aware of that kind of stuff and tried to work very hard to prevent it. He was always checking in with my parents about asking how I'm eating at home. And like, he was very good at protecting his athletes that way. I will say though, when things got to be more and more serious with like the Olympics, gymnastics is subjective. It's not whoever crosses the finish line first. And you see Nastia and I, we're very different.
I mean, she is the smallest person.
Yes.
The thinnest person I've ever seen naturally.
Yes. And if you have followed, like if you were to research the history of gymnastics and the evolution of gymnastics, Nastia's body type is the typical gymnast from history. That's what they looked like. It was all about like artistry and almost like flexibility and dancer-like qualities. And my body style was very modern. It was very new to gymnastics and something that people hadn't seen. And I knew that. I knew that by judges. I knew that by subjective points. And so throughout my career, I would try anything and everything I possibly could do to look like Nastia, which is not possible. I'm not made that way. But it was always with the mindset of maybe if I was a little thinner, my subjective points would be a little better. And because I was such a kid, I didn't have a nutritionist. I didn't have a psychologist. I didn't have guidance there. And 2 + 2 = 4. Let's just eat less. And
Mhm.
so it spiraled into this obsession after gymnastics, hitting puberty, putting on weight, on Dancing with the Stars in a tiny piece of fabric.
Mhm.
People noticed and they didn't care I was 16, said horrible things. And it just turned into a monster.
Yeah.
So
No, I definitely relate to that. I mean, I can remember standing in the mirror at dance class and like all the girls and your children, you don't know, but
Yeah.
like, oh, like you don't have a gap in your legs. You're
Yeah.
supposed to have 3 gaps in your legs. And that stuck with me. I mean, it still sticks with me. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't have a gap here. And I struggled because I also don't have a body type like Nastia. Like
Yeah. Not many people
I've
do.
tried so hard.
Yes.
I've tried eating as minimal as possible. And it's just, it doesn't,
Yeah. No.
it's not going to always be that way, but it's also really hard. I've fluctuated weight in the public as an
Yes,
adult, and
same.
it's so hard. Even now, people are like, oh, you're so thin. What are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. My body just does whatever it wants to. I really don't know how to control it. And
Yeah.
it's definitely something that I still struggle with. How are you now?
A lot better. So when I was 19 years old and I was trying to do a second comeback for the
Mhm.
Olympics, I had kind of put it in my mind that if I made it back to the Olympics, it was going to be in a healthy way. I didn't want to feel that again. And I was still actively struggling with eating disorders and like
Mhm.
with body image issues. And so I hired a nutritionist and psychologist that I worked with every week for years. And I remember I got to a point in gymnastics. Sorry, I'm about to cough. I got to a point in gymnastics when I was within my comeback for the 2012 games where I kind of had to make a decision based off of the old school ways of gymnastics, where it was either sacrifice my health to
Mhm.
continue going or walk away and protect who I was, like who I wanted to be. And I ended up walking away, started Dancing with the Stars, everything. But I have worked with my nutritionist and psychologist for 10 years and they saved me. I think it was around meeting my husband. So probably 6 years after the Olympics, I felt stronger than ever and felt like I could like look at food and look in a mirror and not
Mhm.
criticize. And I think the most life-changing like moment when it came to body image was when I got pregnant. I used to have nightmares about the day I got pregnant.
I mean, I've probably already
Yeah.
talked about that. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah,
And I was really afraid of where my mind would go.
Mhm.
And I don't know what happened, but when I got pregnant, my body no longer was mine. And it was like I was already thinking about the body of my child.
Mhm.
And so it went away. And I dealt with it again postpartum, like when it was my body again. But it was the greatest feeling of my life. Because, yeah, I was like, I remember calling my nutritionist and I was like, my biggest fear is I won't eat enough. And I remember she started crying and she's like, I've never heard this from you, ever. She's like, you've always been afraid of eating too much, like in your life.
Mhm.
She's like, now you want to make sure you eat enough for your baby. And it was cool. It was beautiful.
That is really beautiful. I'm like inspired by that.
Thank you.